Hi everyone. Well, it's good to be back with you again. It's been a few days since my last reaction, so I'm going to break the mold a little bit, and I've been following the episodes of The Singer, and I just heard through some of your comments that Dimash has sung at the European Games, and so I want to continue doing the journey of The Singer. I don't want to miss Dimash's development, but as a once-off, I'm just going to jump ahead in time and react to this because I think it'd be interesting, first of all, just to see how he goes on a grand stage like the European Games, but also just to see in stark contrast how his voice sounds now. So after this video, I'll go back to the Singer videos and I won't jump ahead like I will here. Someone in the comments said that this song was written for him. Thank you for your comments. I always read them. So thanks for all the suggestions. Continue to do that. Subscribe if you like this content, and let's get into this reaction. Got the kind of orchestra sound. Oh, look at that look in his eye. It's very, very serious. I'm going to pause it here. The audio, unfortunately, isn't too good. There's too much bass in this recording, and Dimash's voice is a little bit washed out, which is unfortunate. But one thing that's really interesting with a lot of singers who have a great range is they often struggle a few years after their introduction to the world stage. They often have these big ranges and people are wowed by them, but then the continual use of their voice in these really extreme ways can weather the voice. I can think of many examples from Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. His first kind of 4 or 5 years, he was really extraordinary, and then quickly lost the high extension of his voice. And the list goes on. So what'll be interesting to see is how Dimash is doing. I don't anticipate he's going to have too many problems because he has such a great, well-trained technique, but that'll be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if the tone of his voice has shifted at all. So far it sounds similar in that range, but let's keep watching. He's really leaning into a baritone sound. La, 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 la. Trying to get the dark timbre. His voice is sounding a little bit darker than it used to. It's hard to tell if that's the microphone or the sound system, but he always had a good rich low voice. But even with that being said, yeah, sounding awesome, just a bit darker. There we go. Unfortunate we can't see Dimash a bit more, but it's the European Games, so it makes sense. That's awesome. Look at him, he's owning that massive platform. Wow. Certainly hasn't lost that range. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, wow. What's really interesting, that had so much power behind it. His tone does sound slightly darker and more mature, but not as a bad thing. His range has not been affected at all. His resonance hasn't been affected. Just a slightly more matured sound in terms of the core tone of his voice. The other interesting thing is when he's doing that little passage that went boop, 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 boop. I don't know the exact notes, but in that range, he wasn't doing a thin flageolet sound. He also wasn't doing a falsetto sound, but he wasn't doing that kind of belty mixed voice tone that he was doing in SOS either. He's doing right in the middle of all those things. It's this very strong midway point in his voice that I have not heard him do in any of the other reactions that I've done. It's right in the middle, to the point where if he wants to connect his vocal cords just a bit further together, it's going to go into a full voice. And if he wants to just lean into the thin edge of his chords, he can then go into more of a flageolet or a breathless falsetto. And it's really interesting to hear because I haven't heard him do that yet. I've heard him do belting, really high, extremes, and he's right down the middle, and that's really interesting. Let's keep watching. Wow. Listen to that tone. He sounds like a true baritone there, and I don't think he is, which is incredible that he can create that tone. Wow. That is just... Oh, what?
Sensational from Dimash Bergen, singer-songwriter from Kazakhstan. He's an enormous star, and if you didn't know why before, you do now. An amazing vocal range of over 5 octaves.
Is that the end? Oh, that was crazy. That final note there, I've got to say, the amount of resonance that he was keeping, he wasn't rounding it off and thinning it out, which is often done in the past. What he was doing there that time is he was keeping it resonant right on the edge as much as he could. Let's go back and listen to the part I'm talking about. See that ya vowel? If you listen again, he's not rounding it. He's adding a little bit of a wider spread with his mouth and adding resonance as much as physically possible in that kind of range. And that's really tough because he's not playing it safe by keeping it centered and small and pure. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but he's just not doing that. He's choosing to live life on the edge. Listen to that R vowel. That ya, that's very impressive. And then Yeah, again. Did you hear that? Wow.
Sensational from Dimash. Could I?
Yeah. What continues to wow me is surely it's got to be risky for him. Like for any singer, there's got to be an element of risk. Like there's got to be a chance that the vocal cords just don't quite come together or something. But I've never heard it with Dimash. Like I've never heard his voice just stuff up. And to be singing on those extremes and to not have heard it once in the 4 songs that I've heard of him, with all the stuff he's done, is incredible. Like it really, really is. And on this stage, the European Games, watched by millions and millions of people on a stadium of, well, it looks like there's at least, 60,000 there, judging by the size of that stadium. Owning that platform and just going for that note. And as I said, living life on the edge, maximizing his resonance, not playing it safe. It's really incredible. I did hear something that I hadn't heard him do before. As I said, he was singing in this range that was very hard to discern what you would even call the range, whether you would call it a reinforced falsetto, a head voice. It's not really a flageolet, and that was in that middle section. I won't replay it. Feel free to go to Dimash's channel and look up this song, Ogni Pietra. I don't know how to pronounce that. Go listen to it. It does show that Dimash has matured a lot in his voice. His tone is slightly different, but his range has certainly not suffered. And for that to occur with the amount of singing he must have been doing over these last few years is really, really phenomenal. I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the great singers of, say, the 70s and 80s. Listen to them in their breakthrough year, and then go back and listen to them just 2 years later, and you can hear that their voices are struggling. And that includes my favorite singers. And there's no evidence of that happening to Dimash. So kudos to him. Claps all around. All right, my next reaction video for Dimash will be the next episode of The Singer. So I look forward to doing that. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.